What's up guys, Sugar Brown here to break down one of my tracks called Free. I'm gonna break down all the vocals, the drums, everything in the production when it comes to like the mixing, even the mastering. So let's go check it out. Hey guys, so this is what my session looks like. Basically, I like to keep it organized, color coded, basically, where vocals are at, vocal stems and all that stuff, just to kind of keep it organized. Track info. So with track info, I usually have the key of the song, BPM, and any notes I need for future references. So let's take a listen so you guys get the gist of the song. So yeah, that's pretty much the song. We can start with, let's start with the vocals, fuck it. So here are the main vocals. I found the main vocals through Splice, I believe. I love Splice. Splice is excellent. They have so many good samples in there, so many, vocal, drums, chords. They got everything in there. It's crazy. So I found this. Let's take a listen. So cool, so very soul vibe and stuff. It's just very, you can feel the the emotions to the track. So I really love these vocals and work perfectly. The original key wasn't on the right key of where the chords were at, so I just bumped it up 5 semitones. So this is the actual vocals. You give me everything that a girl could ever need. Totally different. So just bumped it. And then what I like to do with my vocals, especially the main vocals, I like to keep a dry vocal and then one with effects. I know you can do this in Ableton through grouping it. So basically, if you throw a reverb on there, you can group it and stuff like that. For me, I just like to keep them separate. It gives me more control when it comes to the mix down. So this is the one. This stem is for the effects one. So what I did with this one, this is with the overdrive reverb. I love this thing. Basically what it does, it just, what I explained it, overdrive with the reverb with the Valhalla. It just adds a little bit more distortion when it comes to the vocals, and it just sounds bigger. So it just makes the vocals sound bigger. So that's the main vocals. And then you got little fills with the low vocals when it comes. Really cool effect. Just to add more texture to the lead vocal, and then it's just before the build. And then this one, I think this one is another vocal fill. For me, I love adding vocal fills because it just gives it a little bit more uniqueness and kind of ear candy to the track. I don't know, that's just what I like to do. Just like that, if we listen all together. So that distant vocal, it just sounds dope. When you have it just the lead vocal, it just sounds so, I don't know. There's no interesting sound. So for me, I just like to add that kind of stuff. And then the build, basically I introduced the drop vocals to it, so people could kind of get the gist of what's gonna happen, and then. The drop vocals, I fucking love them. They are just, it's pretty simple, you know, mid, high vocal. They're auto pan. For me, because since the beat was already like simple enough, I wanted to make something interesting with the vocals, with the lead vocals. So basically what I did is auto pan it left and right so they slowly sway back and forth, just to kind of keep it interesting, you know what I mean? So, and then the, you know, high vocals, I just kept it the same. So when we add them together, they sound like this. Just sway back and forth just to kind of give it some movement to the track. Since like the drums are already like 4 on the floor, and you know, and there is some movement to the drums, I just want to add a little bit more groove. So you kind of like swaying, you know. For me, with my tracks, I love to make them like wavy in a way, if that makes sense. Like I just like them to have some sort of like, you almost feel like you're in the ocean when you listen to my music. It's just very like, you know, I don't know. It's just for me. It just, that's like my purpose of making my type of music, is just making people feel like, you know, they're in a pool basically. So that is pretty much the vocals. Let's move on to the drums. So here are the drop drums. Pretty simple. Kick. So with the kick, without the effects, with the effects. A little bit more punchier, since it's pretty much, you know, all bass. I wanted the kick to stand out. So what I did is I, you know, cut off a little bit of the sub, dip down about, looks like about 400 hertz, just to kind of keep out the muddiness, and then just bump up, you know, 3K a little bit, just to kind of give it a little punch to it. And then with the SPL, I add a little bit more of the body to it. So with it, without it. Even adds a little bit more of the punchiness to it. I love the SPL. It's a really good, like for instance, if your kick drums are not sticking out as much to the mix, use that to help you out. So, and then just compressor, just to kind of squash everything and, you know, make everything tight. For me, the most important when it comes to drums, if you can find the perfect sample and do less work of the processing, the better you're gonna be when it comes to at the end when you have to mix everything down. So for me, that's one thing I've learned throughout the years, is just picking out really good samples. Claps. So all the claps, like, let me break down the claps. So the first clap is very just like simple, no reverb or anything like that. A little bit more of the hiss, so like more of the top end. This is more of the body. And then a little bit more of like the reverb impact. Yeah, add some reverb to it, just to kind of give it a little bit more of like a bigger sound. And then the perks, just to kind of give it some like rhythm, like rhythmic movement. Pretty simple. I like to have my perks to be like little in the background, just to kind of like, you know, it helps everything out. It just basically molds everything together and it sounds interesting to the ear, instead of like, you know, a kick and clap and that's it, or hi-hats, that's it. Here are the cymbals. Just shakers, some open hi-hat, close hi-hat with some reverb. Let's move on to the bass. So with my basses, I like them, keep them simple. Depending on the track, I'll make it interesting, but I love adding the hip-hop sub bass on Ableton. It's the shit. I love it. It's the most, like the best clean bass you can get. Very, very simple. Nothing too crazy, since, you know, it's already, you know, it has so much in it. I didn't want to add like a distorted bass to, you know, distract everything, or just to create like chaos when it comes to the mixing. And then the chords, so I put this chord in there. love it. Just like the whole like muffled of the sample itself. For me, it fit so perfectly when it came to this track. So what I like to do with my chords to have this sugar brown sound to them, I like to have a dry and then I do this chorus effect. So without it, sounds like the dry one, and then with it, just gives it a little bit more texture to it. So what I did is, so I have this effects. It's kind of, it's the chorus effect. So basically what it does, it just spreads it out more and just kind of adds this like weird like warp like sound. I don't know. I don't know what it does. I just put it on there and it just sounds so dope. I don't know. It just sounds so sick. And then with the EQ, basically just cut in the lows and a little bit of the highs just to kind of make it fit. Since like the dry vocal already has a little bit of the low end, I wanted just to be more of the top end of it. And then some OTT. Just to lower some frequencies that were getting in the way, and then the Haas effect. So with the Haas effect, basically what it does, it delays one side of the audio track more than the other, and it spreads it out. For me, I love this effect way better than the Imager and the even the Isotope one. I don't know why. Sometimes when I use theirs, it's still not wide enough. So I'll add this, and it'll just wide way left and right. So I just like it. So when you add everything together, so without it, it sounds plain. So that's the chords, and then the effects pretty simple as well. Just impacts, build-ups from Cymatics. Shout out to Cymatics, having the best samples in the fucking game, and they just have really good build-ups, sweeps, risers. They got everything. So pretty much, yeah, just like, sweeps in the middle, just kind of transition to the next. Alright guys, that was my production session, so let's move on to the mixing stage. So this is how my mixing sessions look like. Basically, I like to do them like the same thing as I do with my production, keep them organized. I basically bounce out all the stems from the drums, the bass, the synths, vocals, effects, yada yada yada, so on, just to kind of, keep it organized and just see, so for instance, if I need to, mix the drums, I got the drums all together and stuff, and just helps for me. So let's go on the drums. So with the drums, what I did is just cut off 20 to 20K and then dip out like this 180, probably for the muddiness. And then I add a full parallel compressor. What it does is squashes your whole track. And then basically it just amplifies everything. It just makes it a pumping effect. You can hear like a little bit of like the subtleness of like the cymbals and stuff. It's really good to add like the stuff that you can't really hear. So let's listen to it without it first. Let's go to the drop. So you can hear especially with the cymbals, it just pushes them up a little bit more when it comes to the volume wise, and it just sounds good. And then I add a neutron, and basically with the neutron, a little bit EQ, just dipping out some certain frequencies, bumping some, add excitement. I love the exciter because it's like, what it does, it just sections off different places like the sub, the mids, and the highs. And what it does, it kind of adds like these like little effects, like tape effect, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a analog tape sound. And that's what I did for most of them. I just add like a little tape just to kind of give a little hiss to it. And then just add, limiter, just to kind of keep everything from bumping. Some utility and stuff, just to kind of, I think I did it for, let's see. Okay, so what I normally do is I like to do this with my tracks. I like to like dip down the volume for each and every track. I believe, yeah, this should be on every track. Yeah. So what it does is just lowers everything down. So when you hit the drop hits, it just goes back to its normal volume, and that's when you get that full boom effect. It's a really good effect to do it, especially if you want to add some energy to your drops. So like you listen to it. So once the drop hits, it's just in your face, and it's such a cool effect. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. The sub, since the sub was so simple, I just kind of, cut off all this into all the way to 106, compress it, did the same thing with the utility. Yeah, with the EQ, with the synths, just lower the sub area, because I didn't want it to affect the sub, so I just like cut it off. Bump up like 2K. Let's see what I did with the neutron. So the neutron, lower some certain frequencies, just bump up some stuff, compress the shit out of it, compress another, and then just add some texture to it. You know what, guys? It's basically, with all this, it's just basically adding little stuff here and there. You know what I mean? Just to kind of make everything sound, I don't know, just to make it sound a little bit interesting in a way. That's pretty much, our, job basically, is just to kind of make it unique to you, to your style and however you do it. Cause this is not all, like the how to do it, this is how I do it with my tracks. So, you can have a different process as well. It's that's what's so cool about making music. It's not everybody has the same exact format of how they make music. Everybody has their their rituals and stuff. And this is how I'm just showing you how I made this track and how I usually go with my process. Vocals pretty simple. As you can see, this is like, you can see my format: basic EQ, neutron, compressor, then utility and stuff, and it's pretty simple. With effects, didn't do much really, just kind of dip down some certain frequencies. I'll give you one trick, is like there's certain frequencies that you should definitely dip out, like around like the 3K to like, I think sometimes 6K could be a little too like pitchy. So I usually, those are like the first frequencies I lower down, because it gets a little rough in the ears. And then it looks like I actually add an impact. Yeah, add a little bit more effects, because I guess I missed that in the production. So sometimes, it's weird. Like sometimes I have unorthodox when it comes to like mixing too. I'll add some more stuff just to make it a little bit better. So, all right, guys. So that was how I did my mixing. Let's move on to the mastering. All right, guys, so this is my mastering session. Basically, what I did, I just put it down to a 2-track. Usually I do that. Sometimes I'll have like, I'll bounce even the stems out, so I have a little bit more control. But since, with the mix down, it sounded pretty solid, I just went down to a 2-track. So this is my mastering rack. So I have the EQ. As you can see, with mastering, you just really just kind of slightly push things. You take things out. It shouldn't be, when it comes to the mastering, you shouldn't do dramatic things. If you have to do dramatic stuff, you have to go back to your mix. Because either you just you totally forgot, or you just you didn't hear it when you were mixing. That's why it's good to kind of take breaks when it comes to mixing and mastering too. I wouldn't recommend going mixing and then mastering on the same day, because because sometimes your ear just gets fatigued and you end up making mistakes, which you know, once you upload them to DistroKid or anything like that, you'll hear them and you're like, oh fuck, I wish I didn't do that. So I recommend just taking at least like, I don't know, man, I sometimes will take a day or even like a week off from the track and then come back to it and then try to do different versions of a mix down or another master. As you can see with my mastering, very subtle, just around like 300, controlling that. Ozone, I fucking love Ozone. Ozone's the shit. It's like the best mastering tool. And as you can see, just little bumps here and there. Dynamic. I don't think this is even on. And then just, you know, dipping down certain frequencies so it doesn't, you know, as you can hear it. Let's see. Maybe I'm gonna drop it. Yeah, just control stuff like, yeah, right here in the 4K, it can be a little hissy. Dropping down some of the high end, I guess was a little too much. And then, you know, and then basically your maximizer is your limiter. Just kind of squashing everything, just kind of keep everything tight. And then I add another limiter to it just to kind of keep it safe. Push it a little bit. And then I like to add the span, so just to kind of give me like a little visual effect of how my track is looking when it comes to mixing. It's very helpful. Let's see. So let me mute the track so I can talk over it. So this is span. I like using span because like it shows like a visual effect for your mix down stuff. So basically what it shows is like, this is your sub and this is all your instruments. It's really important to have like a big dip. I noticed this, you can actually test it out with all these different songs. A lot of majority of EDM songs have like a dip right here because it's like basically it shows like the sub and then all the other instruments. It just helps when it comes to like mix downs and stuff. So that's why I try to look. This helps me a lot to see what is peaking. Like this shows like this is peaking. Yeah, so basically it just kind of keeps it, you know, it helps you out when it comes to mixing. And then the Nugent, and just basically just showing, it's basically an instrument, just showing like the, you know, the LKFS. Basically that's what Spotify uses, and it just helps me like what I can push with my RMS, just level wise is it helps you when it comes to like what formats, you know, because certain streaming services they require like it needs to be a minimum of this. It can't be more than this because it also is going to get compressed. So that's a way you can, you know, control your track. And for me, I usually try to keep it between like 14 to 10. Sometimes I'll push it depending, you know, it's just all about trial and error just to see what works with your track. Alright guys, that was my track breakdown. Hopefully you guys like it. I'm actually going to give away this session so you guys can do whatever you want, mess around with it, even remix it. Let me know if you do, send it to my way. I'd love to check it out. The track's out, it's on Spotify. Go check it out. It should be on SoundCloud and pretty much everything. And yeah, follow me on, you know, all my socials, Instagram, Facebook, everything else. So I'll see you guys on the next one.